Happy New Year's Eve, everyone, because we're here to talk about what we're looking forward to from Nintendo in 2024. Starting off with, in this video, everything we know about, and then, of course, in part 2, we'll discuss everything we don't, including Switch 2, Metroid Prime 4, because does that game even exist at this point?
It doesn't, but we'll talk about that later.
Exactly. Along with everything else that has not been announced from Nintendo, so that's where we're going to go speculation wild. It should be a lot of fun. But for right now, we're focusing on the games and content and anything else related to Nintendo that we do know about in 2024, and we're starting off with the games. So game-wise, I believe Nintendo has 5 titles coming up that we know about, starting off with another code, Recollection, on January 19th. The following month, we have Mario vs. Donkey Kong being a remake of the GBA game on February 16th. March 22nd is a brand new game in the form of Princess Peach Showtime. Then we get to some more vague release dates. First off, we have a DLC for Splatoon 3, the Wave 2 side order coming in spring. We have a remaster, I guess, of Luigi's Mansion 2 coming in summer. And then finally, I say finally, we don't know when it's fully launching, but there is no specified date at all for this yet, being the long asked for, long requested, long demanded, I should say, remake of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. So, something you might have noticed about this is there is a lot of remasters or remakes happening here, and it's also incredibly Mario focused outside of another code and the side order DLC for Splatoon 3. So I guess in a general sense, how are we feeling about Nintendo in 2024 right now, given what we know about their lineup, which extends through possibly summer, maybe later, depending on when Thousand Year Door launches?
It's all right. I mean, it's like we didn't.
Oh boy, Jake's not. He's fighting it.
Joey, please. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I mean, we didn't really know much about 2023 either going into that year, aside from Tears of the Kingdom and like 2 other games, maybe. Of course, Zelda really helped sell that year on being great. But here, it seems to be like just very safe, a bunch of remasters and remakes. Like, honestly, looking at this list, the only 2 that aren't like remasters or remakes are Princess Peach Showtime and not even a full game, the side order DLC. So this kind of makes me think we're transitioning to the next console here pretty soon, but we'll talk more about that later. I mean, but for what it's worth, like, I'm interested in playing, like, most of these games, at least, especially Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, because I never played the original, and I wasn't made of money, so I couldn't buy the game on eBay. So, yeah, I'm pretty...
Wait, I want to challenge this. Joey, you said you're interested in playing most of these games.
Yes.
Are you interested in playing another code, Recollection?
No.
Are you interested in playing Mario vs. Donkey Kong?
Yes.
Really?
Stop it, Jake. Why are you interrogating me?
Okay, Princess Peach Showtime, definitely yes.
Yes.
Okay. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD?
I kind of am, but like I would play that for like 2 hours maybe.
What is this? No, you're not.
Why are you doing this, Jake? You're being so mean right now, Jake. Did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed this morning?
I just want to know where your enthusiasm is coming from for this Luigi's Mansion 2 HD remaster.
Did you play the original, Joey, or is this your first time
I
with it?
just played the original because I did want to know what I was getting into here. Okay. And like I've always been interested in Luigi's Mansion. There's always something fun about those games. They really give off those Halloween vibes. It's weird that it's coming out in summer though. Maybe it's a late summer game. But yeah, I mean, when I say I'm interested, it doesn't mean like I'm like dying like so hard to play these games. But I still say like this isn't anything to really sneeze at, especially since we know there's going to be a lot more than this. Like this isn't all that's going to be there for 2024. So, Jake, you're doing that face again, Jake. I'm scared about what you're going to say next.
You say we know that there's going to be more, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Are you serious right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of settled with this. Yeah.
There is the if you look at Nintendo's history, their final console years aren't known to be their strongest, and that is assuming this is the Switch's final year. So there is a possibility that there could be a gap between what we know of the Switch and if Switch 2 launches, where there just isn't much. Because would Nintendo want to release much more on their older platform when the new one's coming up? But you know, maybe there won't be a gap. Nintendo has clearly learned lessons in the past. I think already looking at this lineup, it's already better than we've seen of some of Nintendo's final console years, even if it is very much remaster remake heavy. Maybe that's the lesson Nintendo learned. It's like, hey, if we're out of ideas or out of content for the current platform, just pump out remakes and get them out there, you know? And they are capitalizing on the Mario movie hype as well. People love the movie, are apparently buying more games because of it, according to Nintendo's financial report. And that doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon, at least in terms of Mario game production. Whether or not sales, whether or not people burn out Mario games, I don't know yet. But yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, we'll almost certainly have a direct early in the year that will lay out a better. I mean, this is actually where it gets interesting, and maybe it's almost more everything we don't know, so I don't want to get too deep into it, because they can't. How much more can they lay out without getting into Switch 2 territory, right? Mm-hmm. So could they just announce a Switch 2 soon? And I don't want to talk about that yet. We're getting too far ahead of ourselves.
Switch 2 soon.
So let's just keep it to the things that we do know.
Yeah.
For me, there is one title on this list that I think genuinely generates enthusiasm from me. And it's like, listen, Peach. Like I am interested in another Code game. I never played the original. From what I hear, it seems like a game that might be up my alley. I think that is like cool and fine. The Mario vs. Donkey Kong game, cool and fine. It doesn't generate enthusiasm. And I feel that way about every game on this list except for Princess Peach Showtime, which I think looks genuinely fun, different, interesting. You don't get a lot of games from Nintendo where somebody with an attack button, where you're just like going around beating stuff up. Like there's a punch or a slice, you know what I mean? And there's something to that Princess Peach game where I'm just like, man, you go in a room and you have to like clear it of enemies. And I know that that's like a very basic idea, but it's almost like, I'm like, yes, show me what you'll do with that. Yeah.
You know what game you would love, Jake, probably? Wario World on the GameCube. It's just beating them up where you just go around punching enemies, spinning them around, ground pounding them. It's a lot of fun. So
Yeah,
you know what? Oh, sorry, Tom. We keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that, like, what Jake was describing, that sounds a lot like a Wario formula. But at the same time, though, I'm all for it and seeing all the different costumes they come up with for Princess Peach Showtime, all the different powers. That's going to be the most interesting thing. Totally agree with Jake. Most interesting on the first half of the year schedule coming up. And yeah, nice to see them trying to experiment with that too.
I love when a game has such a strong premise that I feel like it has built-in marketing. Like the reveals of other costumes and stuff, like other abilities that Peach is gonna have. I'm excited for those. I think that's gonna be fun. Because when Princess Peach Showtime shows up in the next Nintendo Direct, you know we're getting a new like little costume and like gameplay style or whatever that is. And I think that that's kind of like intuitively cool and neat and like a fun thing to do in your marketing. So I don't even remember what I said, but I had a video where I predicted what all the other costumes are going to be based on that trailer. But there are some that it's like, oh my god, not only are they giving Peach new powers, they're also like emulating different styles of entertainment and movies. And because of that, there was like, I remember there being one where I was like, oh man, is it going to be like an ice skating show? And I just want to see that. I want to see how that works in this game. I really like the theater mechanic too. It looked like there was stuff happening there that just like looked fun and new and interesting. So yeah, a lot of hype for this game.
Yeah, I didn't even realize kind of the meta angle here with, you know, Princess Peach Showtime. It's seemingly already taken some inspiration from the Mario movie with how they updated the box art to give her a look closer to the movie. And of course, that was a theatrical showcase. This is a stage play. So, I mean, I don't think that was intended. I just find that interesting, especially with Paper Mario Thousand Year Door also having a similar gimmick for the battle system, at least, where you're trying to impress an audience. Jake, did you ever play Thousand Year Door on GameCube?
You know, I watched my older brother play it as a child, and I have like some memories of it, but they're not fully formed or complete. Like the extent of my memory is that I remember I liked Rock Hawk, but that's about it. That's like,
how can you not like Rock Hawk? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's in the name even. It's just too good of a name. So wait, are you not excited then to check that out as what's effectively a new game for you?
Jake hates remakes. We've been over this.
I kind of hate remakes, I guess. And it's funny. I think I just am disappointed when I see a title that hasn't like this is a harsh way of putting this, so forgive me, but like a game that like hasn't learned anything from the past decade or 2 decades or however long it's been. And I just am like, I like when somebody when a creator can take something in like a bold new direction and say, okay, what did this game do, accomplish, achieve? How can I achieve those same things in a reimagined way? But I understand that Paper Mario is in a delicate position, that these Mario RPGs are in a delicate position. I understand that people have not liked these games for many, many years, and this is like a very like, oh my God, we're literally going back to the thing that people like, and I know that that means a lot to people. Yeah, I don't know, it's something that already exists, and the only thing that's new about it is the context, is us re-examining it in 2024. How does it look different? And I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm ready to examine this game through a modern lens and not, well, it was good in 2008, so it's just as good today. And maybe I'll and listen, maybe I'll have a similar take to everybody else about this game. Maybe I'll love it like everybody else, but maybe not. I don't know. The thing that I'm most interested about with Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is, of course, proving my colored button theory. But that's neither here nor there.
To me, it's more about making it accessible to modern audiences, because not everyone owns a GameCube. Not everyone knows how to emulate. Even if you do have a GameCube and you don't have the Thousand-Year Door, like me, and you want to play it like on that original hardware, costs so much money on eBay. Not everyone is able to do that. But you bring it to a platform like the Switch, which over 130 million people own, and you give it more fancy bells and whistles. That's mainly what makes it important to me, is preservation. And I think that's kind of what I think is the most important part of this Thousand-Year Door remake, is making it, keeping it alive.
I agree with you, Joey, and I understand that perspective, and I think the difference for me is just that, like, I think that's nice and should be expected, not applauded and rewarded. I look at that and I'm not like, oh, I'm so excited, it's accessible! I'm like, it's just, that's just like not where my head and my heart is, and I understand making it accessible now, but like there's nothing that like heartens me to think that it won't just be in the exact same position in another 15 years. And people are going, oh, we can't play Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door because it's impossible to get that Switch version.
It's like Mr. Burns and his teddy bear coming back to it every 50 years or whatever. But with Thousand Years Door, it's like a known quantity, so we can't be as excited about it. We know with Mario RPG what they did. It's probably going to be similar here, with not a lot of new content, unfortunately. So that's why
we don't know that for sure, but probably.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but what we can guess right now is that's probably going to happen. Hopefully not. And you could argue it would be nice if Nintendo had these games available digitally on NSO and stuff instead, but then they'd be missing out on this big opportunity to fill in a gap in their schedule and stuff. So.
There was a Mario and Luigi, really quick, there was a Mario and Luigi game that was like, it was a re-release on 3DS, I think, but it came with like an extra mode that was, I think it was called Bowser's Minions. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, the Goomba one.
Okay. If they could do something like that here, I would completely change my tune about this. I would, if they had something that was like a little value proposition there where it's like, hey, we know there are a lot of hardcore fans that are going to be picking up this game again. Here's a little extra side story, a little thing that you can do to just add to that value. It's like a full price game or whatever. That would really go a long way for me personally.
Like Bowser's Fury and 3D World Deluxe.
Yes, exactly.
Or Metroid Zero Mission. That was one of the best examples.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be a smart way of handling it, but I feel like we've discussed this before, and it's I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's more of a remake issue than it is a Thousand-Year Door issue specifically. But like, I feel like when you start tweaking things, you can end up changing what people loved about the game originally, and you kind of lose the essence of it. And that's why I don't mind them remaking, especially a game that has been highly demanded by the audience. People have been wanting this forever. They're finally giving it to us. And I'm actually a little bit jealous of you, Jake, that you don't have the entire game memorized. You could go into this game fresh if you were so inclined. And that's something I can't do. This game looks better than it ever has. And I just played it again a few years ago. I still thought it was great. And I wish that I could go in with fresh eyes and be able to experience it for the first time in HD now. Because I don't think there's much about this game that is intrinsically dated. That it would need to be updated to account for, but maybe that's nostalgia speaking, so we'll find out when it comes out.
The one I need them to remaster is whichever one has Mr. L. I every time I see that guy, I'm interested in him. Okay, I want to know. I want to know what his deal is, Mr. L. That guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting that they are remaking this one, which is sandwiched between those two other games. So why not remake Paper Mario 64 first? Or are they going to redo that after this? I don't know. Who knows? So it's and actually that'll be a cool way to handle it. Just bundle in both games. I don't know.
Does it mean anything to you all that we are seeing, I think, a pretty quick succession of Mario RPG games? Does that mean anything to you?
It's
I feel like it
interesting.
has to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it has to also, but also it could just be like Nintendo saying, "Hey, we can't have a bad last year like we've done for the past 2 consoles. Well, here's how can we do that quick and easy? Not easy, but game development's hard. But remakes and remasters.
The game's made, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's part of it. But it is interesting that a lot of them are RPGs too. So. Do we think like maybe this is leading up to a brand new Mario RPG of some kind, or like a brand new Paper Mario in that Thousand Year Door style? I guess we could talk about that in the next discussion, but something to think about.
Yeah, in a broad sense, I think it has to, because you can't go back to the original classics and then reverse course again and continue with what they have been doing with, Sticker Star, Color Splash, and Origami King. Even though I actually quite like the latter 2 games, but I think people are going to be hungry for that original Paper Mario style, assuming this game sell well. I assume that, I have no idea, but I assume that whatever team is making the new one is probably the same team that made Origami King, meaning they're probably not working on a new one actively at the moment. But if a Thousand Year Door remake sells well, then I think there's a good chance we'll see a proper sequel in that style that we haven't in quite some time now. So, yeah.
I do wonder if there's any kind of behind the scenes, like post the Mario movie coming out, maybe we need to focus on Mario's stories more. I do wonder if that's in their head at all,
It's interesting. It's possible. We'll see how much it factors into Princess Peach Showtime. But again, Nintendo's already cited inspiration from the movie, at the least for increasing the budget for the animation of Mario Wonder, and that definitely shows. And even if the Mario movie, doesn't have a ton of plot, it still has more than a lot of the games. And it will be interesting if that is a lesson that they took away from it. Like, hey, maybe people do want more story in Mario games. And Thousand Year Door, one of the complaints about the more modern Paper Marios is that the cast of characters are all generic. You have a ton of Toads, which Color Splash actually leaned into in some hilarious ways. But point is, they have generic Toads, no bespoke characters. Whereas these older games did have that, whether it's in Mario RPG or Thousand Year Door, all these different Toads that look different to each other. And although the Mario movie kind of reversed course on that as well. But anyways, I think there are going to be lessons that they take from the movie and subsequent movies that we'll see kind of filter through the games, down the line. So let's talk about some of the other remakes here, because it's one of the ones I guess another code, Recollection, is a remake as well, isn't it?
It's like a full-blown remake. I did the comparison on it, and it's like a completely new game. Like, I was trying to, granted, I never played the originals. I was doing long play footage. Shout out to Long Play Archive. That the puzzles look different too. Like, I couldn't find, out of all the puzzles shown in the trailer, I couldn't find a similar one in the original game. So yeah, it's quite interesting how they're taking not just the first game, but the second game as well, and they're making them just almost completely new, brand new.
Yep.
Another code was a DS game, right?
The second one was a Wii game, I believe, but it didn't even come out to America.
Okay. I wonder if that necessitated some revamping of the gameplay mechanics because of how the touchscreens or Wii pointers worked.
Yeah, so there's a demo available on the eShop right now if anybody wants to check this game out. And I'm gonna play this, so I purposely didn't play the demo because I'm a sick.
Jake,
so,
it's a remake. Are you aware of this?
That's you're right. But I will say, it's, going from the DS to the Switch, I feel like, there is a certain level of reimagining, re-envisioning that I'm a little, I'm like, okay, somebody has to make some decisions here. We're not just making Paper Mario sharper, give you better paper cuts. Okay. But I say that, don't roast me in the comments. I know they actually did a little art style change in Paper Mario, which I appreciate. I think it looks nice, but when I saw a bunch of tweets of people playing this demo, and it looks like that they genuinely wanted to not have like the same puzzles and answers for people that had already played the game before.
That's actually cool.
Yeah, it's like they went out of their way to be like, oh, you can't just use a guide for the first game to get through this game. We're gonna give you kind of like a different experience here. And a lot of the people that really liked the original had very positive impressions of the demo. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I was talking to Don, like he played the first one a lot, and he was saying, like, this is different, so I'm all for a reimagining of the original games. Check that.
Yeah, a little bit Resident Evil 4 remake like, or Final Fantasy 7 if you want to use that. Yeah, no, that's cool. It's funny, whenever I like play a puzzle game in the moment, like Portal 1, Portal 2, I'm like, oh, this sucks because I know how the solutions are and I'll never be able to play it again. And a few years go by, I completely forgot everything about it. So I was like, oh, I actually can't even play it. It's totally fine.
Something else that I really like about this game is that the two games are set 2 years after each other. And it's neat to have a collection that is story focused, where it's like, okay, first game, 13-year-old girl trying to figure out this mystery, goes to this crazy island, there's ghosts, there's all this other stuff, and then like, okay, you beat that game, and then next game, it's like the character model is older, it's like, oh yeah, look at the time that has passed. It's like, that's kind of a cool experience, I think, to have like in a media. It's like, okay, continue, now we're doing this story. It's like having two movies in one. Really cool.
Yeah, that actually is really cool.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a good kind of like, that's a good way to start the year, honestly. You know, a good content-heavy, seemingly, game that people are already a fan of, and that's reimagined for people who are experienced with it. So that seems perfect. Now, the following month, though, we have Mario vs. Donkey Kong, another remake, and this is of an old GBA game. And this is so interesting because it's basically the Mario and Donkey Kong, Mario vs. Donkey Kong games have been around for a while now, with NST pumping out sequel after sequel, though it's been a bit since the last one, I think. In any case, this is the original. This is the best one, in my opinion, because it is essentially a sequel or a remake itself, if you will, or I don't know, a reimagining of Donkey Kong 94, which was a super fun, like, puzzle platformer type game, which really just took the idea of Donkey Kong and expanded it in some new fun ways. And I never expected this game to get remade. I never expected this. So seeing this is, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a remake. It could have come to GBA NSO. It probably would have been fine. On the other hand, I'm like, hey, I respect it. They're actually paying service to a game I never expected them to. And it looks good. I think it looked, and it, you know, not only does it look good, I think the timing is, you know, appropriate given Mario and Donkey Kong, again, being in the Mario movie, having their rivalry. It's like, okay, maybe it makes sense to have a Mario versus Donkey Kong game at this time, where they actually are rivals, and it's not just purely focused around the little tiny toy things. But I don't know, did anyone else play this game originally, or is it new to all of you?
It's new to me.
Maybe new.
Yep.
Oh, wow. This is also a $50 game. Maybe I'm just being that's the thing. I'm like, maybe I'm just being a big baby, but like, if it was a $40 game, I would be like, all right, my expectation is set correctly. But this, I don't know. There's something about that. It doesn't.
It irks me too.
I'm not seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, Andre, you said it looks good. I would argue like the price they're going for, I feel like it has to look a bit better.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the price is awkward. I don't like to factor in price when I consider my view of a game, because it doesn't change whether I liked it or not. I will say, though, that this does not seem like a $50 game, especially because, like I said, it could have been a game that was released for free, effectively, on the expansion pack Game Boy Advance service. So, and it's disappointing that it isn't, because now they are, if you want to play it, they're forcing you, not really forcing, but you have, you know, if you want to play it easily, it's $50, basically, so...
There actually is new content in the form of a new co-op mode.
Oh, that's right, actually, yes. And that actually does look fun. Was that announced to be online, or is that local only though?
I believe it's local only, but that's unsubstantiated. Yeah,
of course. Right. Maybe we should maybe we can fact check that. But yeah, that actually is cool. That's a good addition. We'll see how well it plays with the level designs the game has. I don't know if they've had to change them or not. I know you did a comparison, Joey, and it looked pretty faithful.
Like 1-to-1. The camera movements are different in the new one, of course, because you know, you get a much wider field of view. But yeah, the levels look 1-to-1.
Okay. It's funny though, this and Paper Mario, I feel like are kind of ripe for just whenever that next Nintendo Direct is, being like, oh, here's Marketing Wave 2, new content. Like, I could see it for both of them, especially if you already have the co-op mode here, being like, hey, we built some like co-op focused challenges for you to do that like you need to play 2 players.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
I would actually be surprised if there isn't something like that in the game, and maybe Nintendo will surprise me.
Yeah, there's like a really cute shot in the trailer though. I guess like player 2 plays as Toad, and they're both like walking on their hands because I guess you can protect your head by kicking stuff. So that's, I don't know, it's sweet.
Yeah, it's you know, it's just a cute little fun puzzle game that's perfect if you play Switch on the go, especially, I think. Though it should be fun no matter how you play it. Whether $50 fun, we'll see. Now, sandwiched between Prince of Peach Showtime and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD is, or actually, yeah, it seems like it's going to be sandwiched between them, is DLC for Splatoon 2, Wave 2, or sorry, Splatoon 3, Wave 2, following on the amazing Wave 1 of the Inkopolis DLC Skin Hub. Yeah. This one actually looks interesting. This actually looks like it could be something. I immediately recognize like the kind of like Portal-like vibe that they seem to be going for. Which that's a game I adore, so anything that reminds me of it is great. And it seems like they're doing like a roguelike thing now, which...
Every game company is doing it now. God of
They
War
are.
got
It's
a
a hot new
roguelite. And there's another game that got a rogue. Oh, Last of Us Part 2 is getting roguelite. Nintendo's like, we
Yeah.
gotta follow suit. Let's do this.
I'm so excited about this. I think it looks amazing. So really quick, the quote is, featuring a brand new story, the single-player Side Order DLC will challenge you to ascend the Spire of Order in an experience that's designed to be replayed over and over. And I think part of the idea is that Splatoon 2 ended with this Splatfest that was like chaos versus order. And I
Right.
think the premise of this is like, oh, okay, what if the other side won? So that's like Spire of Order, where that's kind of coming in from. And I think it's kind of funny that like designed to be replayed over and over. That of course intuits to us like that it's a roguelike, but it's also, I think Spire of Order is such a specific term to use because Spire is kind of like a charged roguelike term because of Slay the Spire. So I wonder if that was part of it or not, if that was something it just seems like a weird coincidence.
Subconsciously, they might have just added it in.
Yeah.
To climb up, like to keep going up. Talking about using that other choice of order. I wonder if they had a whole bunch of game design ideas from back then, or you jot them down. It's like,
Right.
oh, I really wish I could have done some of this. Or if they came up with it way later, that'd be neat to hear.
But so obviously like any roguelike, like so much of the gameplay is focused on like, okay, you go to a new floor, you get like more perks that you attach to your character. So ideally you get stronger and stronger as you go up the spire. And I will say that there is like my one worry is right now Splatoon 3, I have always felt that like the gear system, which is essentially like these perks, has always felt intangible to me. It's never felt meaningful enough that I like cared about it. So if it's similar here, if I'm getting these perks and I'm just like, all right, my swim speed is higher, I guess. Like, you know what I mean? I don't like feel it, that I'm gonna be a little bit bummed out, but it looks like it's gonna be more substantial than that because if you look at the gameplay, there's even like damage numbers popping up, which isn't normally there.
No.
So it kind of implies that there's, you know, more stuff going on that you're gonna be able to actually feel the difference, I think. But yeah, I like love roguelikes, and I've never been really interested in Splatoon single player content. It's just like the platforming's never spoken to me. So something like this is like, I'm enticed. I'm interested. I want to try this out.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wish we saw this kind of like this level of innovation in the main story modes of the game, which they seem a little lacking by comparison, just because it's always the same thing basically. So it's fun to see them experiment, especially, you know, with the DLC. I will say I'm not a huge fan of roguelikes, so even though I like how the trailer presented everything, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be for me.
Yeah.
But I really like those bespoke experiences that are like hand tailored to be the thing it is, rather than a lot of, you know, kind of random happenstance. That's dependent, you know, that your performance is largely dependent on, I guess in this case, perks you've acquired. And I also, you know, repetition often gets to me too. So I don't know if it'll be for me. I'll probably try it though. I'll probably be streaming it. We'll see. You know, maybe it'll win me over as a roguelike. Hey, I'm open to it. So
I wonder too, like how hard it's going to be just to beat it in one go versus it's going to take a long time to get to. And that last shot in the trailer, that looked so much like a GLaDOS-like enemy.
Totally.
Which
Yeah.
means so much about order. Like, are they going to go that route? That would be neat to see.
Tom, you're so right about that. Very important to a roguelike to have like balancing that difficulty so that because I just did the God of War roguelike, that new DLC, and I'm like playing on hard, and I beat it on my. I never died, you know, except for the times where it makes you die in the game, and I was like, so like, what's the point of this, man?
Yeah.
Like,
That's not what I would expect.
Like, it's gonna be a tough balance. Yeah, because you don't want it to be so difficult that it feels just annoying and punishing. On the other hand, you need the rewards you get to feel worthwhile. Like, you need to feel like you're getting stronger and that it's worth getting these perks and that you can actually see the material benefit of them. So but Nintendo's usually pretty good about balancing difficulty, if not a little too much on the easy side. So
I'm really curious too, just about the launch timing of this, because it's almost like I wonder if it has taken so long to come out because there is truly so much into this and they've been working on it the whole time, or if this is like another like. We just kind of want it to come out before the Switch, you know, like the Switch 2 is gonna be there. You know, I wonder because it doesn't seem like that there is that much to it, but maybe I'm wrong. You know,
maybe a little column A, a little column B. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Hopefully there's a lot of stuff in there. That'd be you know, and the thing with roguelikes is you can play them forever, right? In a way.
Sure.
So I hope that there's enough content to justify to give people that amount of value out of it, and maybe there is.
Whoa there, Andre. This is like a digital title, so no, maybe not forever, but
Oh no.
You're right. Good point. Real quick, I don't think there's a whole lot to say about it, but it's funny in a year with all these remakes. You know, we've got Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, both, and Another Code, both of which, you know, at the least visually are complete upgrades. And then we have Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which even Nintendo feels like, yeah, it's just an HD version of the original game. They are improving it. Luigi's character model at the least is enhanced. I'm sure there's other elements too, but you look at it and I'm like, that's a 3DS game. Like, that does not look like a. Is it full price? Do we know? Is that a full price?
I haven't checked.
Okay,
but yeah, this game should have come out before Luigi's Mansion 3, like straight up. Like it's just I played it, I enjoyed it, but like comparing it to Luigi's Mansion 3, which I think is just a god tier level game. That game is so good in like its gameplay and its visuals. But going back to Luigi's Mansion 2, it's just like, why would you want to do that? It's bizarre.
To be fully fair, the game could look better when it comes out than it has in early trailers, but I don't think it'll look that much better. But
no price listed for this one yet.
Oh.
A mystery.
Man, watch it cost less than Mario vs. Donkey Kong somehow. That would be nice, but I don't think it's happening.
How much did Metroid Prime
40.
the HD one? 40?
Yeah.
Man, so curious if they have the nerve. If they have the nerve to put it above 40.
I think
that would be so interesting.
I think Mario vs. Donkey Kong being more expensive than Metroid Prime Remastered is already like a crime.
yeah, it kind of speaks to how Nintendo values the strengths of their brands. Like, I think Metroid, like, our goal right now is just to get to as many people as possible. Whereas Mario vs. Donkey Kong, people pay whatever they want for it. Whatever they saw Mario Donkey Kong 5 in the movie, they'll buy this.
I'm going to argue with Metroid that they probably knew that people would immediately buy the digital one and then buy the physical one 2 weeks later for some reason.
You mean idiots like me? Yeah, you're right.
No, I'm not saying anything, Joey.
I'm kidding.
You're a big Metroid fan. That's different.
Now, we are retaining the Scare Scraper in Luigi's Mansion 2, the online multiplayer mode. So that might be fun to go back to, you know what I mean? Because you're definitely not finding matches of Scare Scraper on 3DS right now. So.
True, but you could do that in Luigi's Mansion 3 still on
Oh my
Switch.
god, you're right. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow, I forgot. NVM. Yeah.
So of these 5-6 titles, if you count the Splatoon 3 DLC, what is everyone most hyped for individually? Jake, let's start off with you. What?
Princess Peach.
Princess Peach? Okay.
Showtime. Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to see the different costumes. I like little beat 'em ups. I think it's gonna be a good time. I'm excited.
Joey?
Paper Mario. I was fun story time. I got this game like around the time it came out when I was a kid, but I traded it in for something else, and I have regretted that day ever since. So I feel justified that, oh great, now I can play this on my Switch. So yeah, very excited for it. I never beat it originally. I barely even remember. I'm like Jake, I barely even remember it. So it's going to be exciting to go into it with a mostly fresh pair of eyes.
Nice. How about you, Tom?
Well, speaking of fresh, I'll go with side order.
Nice.
Well played.
Side
well
order
played.
and Princess Peach are very close for me, so.
Yeah, I think I'll fall. Princess Peach Showtime is the one I'm most excited for. It's Princess Peach in a new game where she's headlining it, which looks exciting, something different, and it's Arguably the only brand new title from Nintendo that we know about so far for 2024.
Yeah.
So
how bizarre is that? That's really bizarre to me.
But we'll talk more about that in our part 2 discussion, which should be fun. But for now, there's some big third-party games coming out still this year, including Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown early into the year. In fact, the day before Another Code Recollection. We also have Penny's Big Breakaway and The Plucky Squire, with I'm sure even more that I'm forgetting. So how are we all feeling about the third-party slate? Are we excited for any of these in particular, or?
I can't stress enough Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Wow.
I did a 3-hour preview of it. I have a whole video on it. But just to sum it up, if the 3 hours I played, if the rest of the game is as good as those 3 hours, it's going to be an easy 10 out of 10. I am shocked at how good that game is. The Metroidvania aspects are fun. The combat is just so satisfying. And it was just fantastic what I played of it. And when it was over, I didn't want it to stop. Man, oh man. I already knew the game was going to be good, like when I saw the trailer, right? But I wasn't expecting it to be that good. At least the 3 hours I played. Who knows? Maybe the rest of the game is just a complete train wreck after that. Highly doubt it, though. I am very excited.
All those games that have amazing opening 3 hours, but then fall off at hour 4. All those,
right? Too many.
Yeah.
Joey,
God.
how do you think of Metroid Dread versus Prince of Persia?
Whoa.
Oh, that's a really good one. I still gotta give it to Metroid Dread, right? But I've only believe it or not, right? But man, but it's another thing. I expect Metroid to be amazing already. Prince of Persia, I was just kind of like, okay, like it's a new Prince of Persia game, cool. We'll see how it is. But it's just like I feel like it could potentially be more impactful in that sense because of the expectations.
So I think whenever you talk about like third parties, like as the Switch gets older and, you know, it's like fully like a console behind as like the PS5 and the Xbox Series have like launched while the Switch was alive, you know, I think it becomes like harder and harder to justify getting third party games on Switch. So it's like one of those, I think the area that you feel the need for the next console the most probably is in third parties.
Yep.
Yeah, so anytime I like look at a third party game, even just like this past year with something like Sonic Superstars.
Yeah.
I like I'm so tired of having that internal conflict where I'm like, but will it be good enough on my Switch? Like that's where I want to play it, you know what I mean? So I'm just like a little tired of like having that experience, but with that being said, Penny's Big Breakaway announced in a Nintendo Direct. There's like a fantastic looking trailer you can watch right now on Nintendo's own channel. So I assume that is representative of how it will play on Switch. And it looks really good. There's like one point in that trailer where the character, I presume Penny, is on like a big wheel, like going up a wall. And it looks exactly like the wheel power up from Kirby. If you know, you know. But I've always been somebody that loves traversal in games. I'm always about like anything that lets me be creative and expressive in my movement is like a huge selling point for me in games. Obviously, like I really liked Spider-Man this past year, my game of the year. And there's like a lot of that kind of fun and energy here. And I think that something like, I don't love like 3D collectathon games, but if you were to introduce a traversal mechanic into those games that looks as fun as like what Penny's doing out here with this yo-yo, then I think that could be really big and fun for me. And that's like a big reason why I liked Mario Odyssey so much, is that I always liked like getting a new character to possess and like seeing how they would move around and like traverse the space. So getting a lot of good vibes from this game. I think it looks really nice.
You mentioned Mario Odyssey, Jake, and it's not like Cappy throwing Cappy and jumping off it. Like I've seen trailers where you can, it's almost like original Spider-Man cartoons where it's like, where's he web slinging? You can just throw the yo-yo up and it'll just stay there hovering. And you can use it as a kind of like grappling or like a swing. So stuff like that is neat. Look, really tight controls. Christian Whitehead part of the team behind Sonic Mania working on this. It looks like they have a great 3D, not follow-up title, but their next ones.
Yeah, if there's one thing the team understands is how it's satisfying, you know, platforming mechanics, at least in a 2D space. So they can recreate that in 3D. Then I think it's gonna be a really good time.
There's one little juicy moment in the reveal trailer for this game that to me is like, it's one of those things that it's 2 seconds, but once I see it, I go, this is a quality title. There's like a rolling ball of penguins.
Yeah.
And they're all like clumped up together. And when she makes that ball like collapse, like she throws her yo-yo at it, you see like these 24 penguins all like in a way that like you buy it. It feels organic, kind of like pop out and like spread out and like fall to the ground and like flop down on their faces and stuff. And it's just like, it's quality. I don't know what to say. It's just, you just know. Like it's, I go, yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no release date for that yet, specifically. So let's hope.
Yeah,
let's hope it doesn't
they
get
say
pushed.
early. They say early.
Early.
2024,
Okay.
so,
All right.
Yeah.
Let
Good.
them cook.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. That covers it for most of the big games that we know about, or at least remember to bring up here. But there are some other things happening Nintendo-wise in 2024 that we do know about, including the fact that in March, or as of March, Nintendo have completed the construction of the Nintendo Museum, which I believe is in Japan. Is it in Tokyo or
In Kyoto.
Kyoto? Wait, Nintendo's original hometown, which is great. So, Tom, are you gonna go visit that next time you're in Japan, or?
If I go to Kyoto, I will for sure. Yeah, it's like the bullet train or bus ride there is like 3 to 4 hours, maybe quicker. But I'm interested in seeing its museum, how it will reflect on Nintendo's history, and like what type of detailed approach to it. Will we see stuff we haven't known before, or will it be kind of just like pictures and stuff that we don't care about? Like, I'm interested in how deep this will go, and if it'll have English translations. But
I'm sure it will.
It could either be super interesting or the dullest thing imaginable. Like, they had the opportunity to do something really cool here, but Nintendo is so typically very secretive of, everything in their process and their history. I hope that they take the opportunity to really kind of expand it and show us things that we didn't know about, because, we've seen things now from the Giga Leak. It's like, you could expand, there's a lot here. I'm sure there's a lot they could expand on. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that wasn't in that leak that they could explore, and I don't know, I'm not expecting leak contents there exactly, but it just shows there's a lot to Nintendo's history that would be really fun for them to officially flesh out.
It's cool to me that it's not an exhibit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they're taking Nintendo's old plant in Kyoto and converting it into a thing that will stay the Nintendo Museum.
That's really cool.
And at the end of 2024, I will be getting married. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. And
that
we've talked about doing
an official prediction?
thank you.
Prediction.
And we've talked about going on our honeymoon in Japan. And if this gets good reviews early in the year, maybe I'll have to stop by and check it out. Because even just like looking at their plans, like you just see this building and you see this like little campus that they're making for the Nintendo Museum, and I'm like, well, there's got to be something there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a whole thing.
Right.
Like it can't be. It's got to be something. So my expectations are higher for it, I think. Yeah.
I have a prediction, like what they could do. Like right now, a lot of developers still alive, like because of Nintendo being relatively new in terms of video games.
Sure.
They could record them, have them there, do like almost like I Want to Ask, like the new Ask developers, stuff like that with exhibits. They could have rotating exhibits in one section, like you have a big game coming out or a series, you could have something that changes, so it's something new for people from time to time, like
All
a
right,
regular art museum. So.
I got it, Tom. Here it is. You ready? I meet you at the front desk, and I go, okay, we're going to the special exhibit. I take you by the hand. I lead you into a dark room. We open the door. I pick up a controller. I blow the dust off of it, and I go, you remember you played Super Mario RPG on your Nintendo Switch back in the fall of 2023? And you go, yes. Oh my God, yes. And I go, did you know that was originally a game for the Super Nintendo? They turn it on, nothing happens. They pull the cartridge out, they blow on it a little bit, they put it back in, and then it boots up, and you're like, oh my God, look at this disgusting game.
That's almost as bad as going, did you know, Tom, that Mario 2 was originally Doki Doki Panic?
That should be the first thing in the museum.
That'd be so good. That's just the entire museum is Doki Doki Panic.
You guys are not going to believe this.
Yeah, this museum, if they do it right, could be amazing. So we'll see. Another thing happening in Japan, though, in spring, something we just recently found out more about, being the Donkey Kong Country expansion coming to Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Osaka, I believe. And this is a whole expansion, like it's basically doubling the size of Super Nintendo World, focused around DK, has a new minecart ride, has a Funky's Fly and By store, I'm sure some other little exhibits like with Rambi the Rhino, drums you can beat on. And as a theme park fan, as a massive theme park fan, I'm so excited for this because I think this actually has the capability to be even better than what we've seen from Super Nintendo World already. Because it seems like they're going even more, like Donkey Kong Country has always been a little bit more grounded, a little bit more naturalistic, and it looks like they're really capturing that essence so far in the land with it seemingly the inclusion of proper animatronics on the ride, I'm assuming. We haven't really seen those exactly yet, but I can't wait to see what they're, how they pull off the illusion of flying through the air in this out-of-control minecart. It looks like a lot of fun. It's exactly what I've always wanted from a Nintendo theme park, and I can't wait for it to open this spring.
Yeah,
is this going anywhere else eventually? Do we know?
It is being built at Orlando as well, which should be opening next year, 2025, I believe.
Oh, interesting. Like with the Super Nintendo World, like they're going to launch at the same time.
It's being built right now, so as far as we know, they're launching together.
Interesting.
Yeah, in Japan, I think they've had footage of it going and stuff. Like they've shown some of the test tracks, but seeing those recent videos, like it when you're on an escalator and it stops and it's broken, then you have to walk and you're kind of lurching forward. Is that going to be the feeling, thinking it's a roller coaster track, and then all of a sudden you're thrown up or like going down and maybe jerk sideways? Like, are you going to be mentally thinking roller coaster the whole time? It can't like shift thinking that you're actually being held above a fake track. So
Tom,
many neat opportunities.
I just had a horrific vision of being on a ride and you look down and you see in the jungle a real life gorilla wearing a tie.
That would
Yeah,
actually be
cosplay.
I would love it if like the mascot character for DK just like randomly hops out of the jungle, just jump scares people. Like that's all he does.
Yeah, I mean, Donkey Kong is so cool. Like, I love Donkey Kong. The idea of like walking around seeing a Donkey Kong there is exciting. I think the one thing I'm like hesitant about is that I haven't been personally super enthused to actually go to Super Nintendo World because I feel like there's like not enough content for me. As somebody that like loves roller coasters, it's like hard to justify.
Yeah.
And I just like knowing how they've treated stuff already, I kind of feel like it's just going to be, oh, we got Donkey Kong stuff, and it's like one little tiny ride and like a store, and that could be it. And that's like a little, yeah.
Well, if you go to Japan, they'll at least have now with this 3 Nintendo rides you can go on, so which is fairly a good amount for a singular or basically a single IP focused land, being Nintendo in this case. And this does seem to be a more conventional theme park ride as compared to say Mario Kart, which is more of an interactive gameplay experience. So
cool.
Yeah.
Andre, quick question: like when we're seeing Dixie and stuff in the videos, do you think it's like a 3D model there, or is it like some sort of glasses that you'll be seeing?
I don't think they've announced an AR component that hasn't even been in the leaks. No, I haven't been following I know there's been like some more rumors or more deeper dives into like what the ride will be, and I've been trying to avoid those. But as far as I know, there's no like interactive stuff or AR goggles or anything. So that's probably there probably would be actual animatronics there. Yeah. All right, well, on that note, I think that wraps up for everything we know about Nintendo in 2024. So stay tuned for part 2 tomorrow in the new year as we discuss everything we don't know, including Switch 2, what's left on the Switch, if anything, what may be in store for NSO, DLC, who knows what we're going to discuss. Should be a lot of fun. Everyone, thanks for watching. We'll catch you soon in the new year. Bye.